Today's guest is a certified spiritual live food instructor, Phil Grist, aka the Raw Builder. Welcome to Voices of Elevate. Hello, Phil.
Hey, Jenna, it's all right. Your voice, there was no noise, but lips were moving, and I didn't want to interrupt.
Oh, could you not hear?
No,
Have you?
yeah, I heard, but there was a gap. That's what I'm saying. I didn't want to interrupt because there was no noise and lips were moving, and I thought I wouldn't interrupt.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's very polite of you. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
So I would like to talk to you a lot about the I'd like us to talk about the ethos of Elevate and how the food is such an important factor of what the mission for Elevate Festival is. And that's a journey that I've actually personally been on with you for the last 14 years, and you much longer, but is with eating alkaline, electric, high vibrational foods, and just how important that is on this kind of ascension journey, and how it's healing and just makes us superhuman on a level that people who haven't attempted it yet don't understand. And what I experienced with you and other people back in 2020, when we all spent the whole summer together, because we were part of a cafe that was going from festival to festival to festival, and we spent all summer together. It was after the big lockdown, and we were barefoot in the sunshine, and we were just vibing so high, and so much magic happened between us all. Um, and it kind of showed me this magic that's been hidden from society, and the way that we connect with each other, and the way that we feel, and everything else. And then we all ended up at another festival at the end of that summer, the end of August or the beginning of September. And it was so different to all the other festivals that we'd been to, and we kind of felt the energy of it instantly, because we were in this beautiful, I'd say 8D frequency. And then we arrived at this festival that we felt the density as soon as we drove in. Now, this is a very popular festival in the. I don't want to mention it because I don't think it's fair to kind of slag off another festival. I don't want to do that. But what we noticed was just the density that was there. And this is a very spiritual festival that people feel quite, it's a very popular spiritual festival. That's all I'm prepared to say. And we all got taken out, didn't we, energetically? And it's because we were so open and so light and vibing so high that we weren't prepared or ready for that density that we experienced there. And it was a real eye opener for me, because having worked at and run festivals, and seeing how the scene had changed, and I just thought, wow, they're all spiritual, but they're all really missing the real important component of like ascension. And it was such a dirty, dark energy. But a lot of people that will see that as like, that's what spirituality is. And we actually had a friend with us who was a Kundalini yoga teacher and a cacao ceremonist and everything. She was so pure and beautiful, and she actually did a 180 that summer, didn't she? And actually went to Christianity, because she thought, wow, if that's what spiritual scenes are like, I don't want any part of it, because it was so dense compared to what we'd been experiencing. It's like a massive come down for her, and I ended up getting poorly, and I think we all did, didn't we? It was just such a weird vibe. So with that, and then it was like, well, I need to do a festival that shows people how to access this real clean, supercharged, high vibrational energy, and how that naturally takes you to spirituality. You don't need substances and plant medicines and all this stuff, all these substances are just getting in the way, because when you're actually vibing that high, it's just there. So yeah. And you've been a really big part of Elevate Festival already, because you come with your juice bar and you give lots of people lots of information. And I hear that feedback a lot. They're like, oh, Phil's a great guy. He just, I was talking to him for ages, because you love talking to people about this stuff, don't you? And yeah, so yeah, that's what I'd like us to touch on. If you have anything to say at all, Phil, you're just going to smile at me.
Jenna, I've got lots to say, you know that.
Yeah, that's why I was a bit taken back with the silence, but yeah.
Yeah, and in the raw food movement, it's very interesting, because there's lots of levels. I was doing a podcast last night, actually, and there's lots of levels to it. And one of the levels that comes up a lot is what people are calling gourmet raw food, which actually now, 25, 30 years later, I can see it as comfort food.
Yeah.
And people call it transitional food, but it is transitional, because we need this comfort. And then and also that's okay. If you stay on a raw food comfort diet. Sorry, Jenna, I didn't hear that at all, but
oh, I said it's familiarity. It's a bit like when people transition into veganism but they still buy, like my son's staying at my house at the moment, and he come home with some vegan steaks. He went, Mum, look, these are, I mean, he's a carnivore, but he's respecting not to cook meat in my house. So he's been buying, these like fake meats, and but that we would call those a transitional food. Like when you're going from meat eating to vegan, you have these transitional foods that you're used to, like a sausage or a burger or a steak. And it's similar when you go from a conventional diet to kind of raw food, is that we like to make things like courgette and breads and things, so that we can make a sandwich, or things that we're kind of used to having as what would I have for lunch? I'm used to having a sandwich. Whereas we know that the longer you go down that line, you often don't have a lunch or a dinner, or everything changes, doesn't it, about the way that you eat and everything else.
I'm getting it now. So I hear your words, and then your lips carry on moving a bit longer. So that's why I'm not actually responding in the right time. It's because I'm trying to work out when to come in. So that's why it's not marrying up quite. So I know now, once your voice stops, I can carry on.
Okay, yeah, brilliant.
That's pretty good. I hear your words, and your lips are still.
Right.
And then your lips start and your voice stops, and it throws me out.
We've got some weird delay going on. You just love technology.
Yeah, we've got some things going on. So Jenna, I think really what you wanted me to talk about as well was your mission with Elevate, and the food, and the challenge of sticking to what Elevate's all about, and meeting people with their kind of needs where they're at. And I think that's a really tough call and a really tough decision. Except if I was doing Elevate Festival, because we want to do an Elevate, and because we want to promote what we're promoting, that's what I would be doing. I would be doing exactly what you did last year, with your brilliant little cafe and your great volunteers in the cafe, supporting everybody on site. I think that it was so great. And the other thing with small festivals that I think people don't take into consideration from the outside, from a punter's point of view, or a goer's point of view, is the fact that you need to keep as much money in the festival as you can at the beginning, because it's really hard to pay for everything,
Oh, people do not
make it
understand that.
work.
Yeah, the stress that I've put myself under every year, trusting that we'll just accumulate that money from somewhere. Yeah, yeah, that's an important piece. But, let's talk about your journey a little bit. Where did it all start for you?
Wow. I mean, that was a long time ago with
Yeah, we know you're an old man.
my dad being really ill back in the very early 80s. And the
Mm.
doctor's like, "Why are you going to have to retire?" And this lady gave my dad a book and said, if you read this book, you'll get yourself well. And my dad was like,
Oh.
well, the doctors can't help me. So he read the book and he got himself, we wouldn't want to do what he did to get himself well, Jenna, but he did what they suggested in the book and he got himself well. And then he started doing nut roast. And I was like, Dad, I don't want a nut roast. I just want steak you know, or something. I want something real. I don't want a bloody nut roast. Anyway, so that was that was the start of it in about 1983, 82, 83, probably. And even though my dad was never going to be a vegetarian or a vegan, he was under the impression that a good nut roast was going to be better for him than an animal product.
Which
Um,
it is.
and then I got really ill back in the late 90s by some kind of a jibber jabber, I think it was. Um, just took me out completely, and I still haven't really recovered. I've done lots of work and lots of raw food and lots of detoxification, lots of cleansing, and I still actually haven't regained myself back from that bit of pharmaceutical intervention.
Mm.
Um, I'm not going to go down that route. So
Mm.
since then, I've been doing all I can to heal myself and heal the brain damage and recover, really. And that, not knowing that that's what it was originally, it's only looking back, going, well, actually, I was all right.
Mm.
And then 3 months later, I was not all right.
Well, this is the thing about the jibber jabbers is everyone says, "Oh, I had it and I'm fine," and then you find out they've got fibromyalgia or lupus or eczema or asthma or depression or anxiety. The list goes on, but they'll never track it back to that thing that they had. But we're not going to get stuck there.
Yeah. And it's difficult because the clever thing is it very rarely happens straight away.
Yeah, no, it's a slow burner. It's a slow poison, and yeah,
So
yeah.
then, so what we do is we go, okay, so that hasn't worked, that hasn't worked. The doctors haven't got a clue. They knew nothing about health at all. What am I going to do? And then back then, that was 1997, when I was really at my worst. And I started to get into nutrition and read books by Patrick Holford, and then that led me down. I learned from his books that basically that they were trying to kill us. That's what I learned from his books. He didn't say that, but it's just like, oh my god, as a builder, I know aluminium's highly toxic.
Mm.
Why is it in all of our products?
Mm.
Why is it in our aluminium, our toothpaste, our deodorant? Sorry, aluminium. Why is it in our deodorant, toothpaste, talcum powder? Why is it in all of these products?
Yeah.
And then it was in pots and pans and cooking utensils,
Yeah.
and I mean, still look at the amount of takeaway cartons that are in aluminium foil, and then
Mm.
people wrap their potatoes in aluminium foil on a barbecue, and it doesn't matter what lifestyle you're following.
Yeah.
If you're going to wrap your food in aluminium, you're going to have problems.
Mm.
And God knows, actually,
Isn't it
heated aluminium.
it's part of
We
what they're
don't.
spraying in the sky as well? Hasn't that got aluminium in it?
I don't know what you're talking about, Jenna.
Oh. Well, we're really delving into these subjects, aren't we? I
So
like
yeah,
That's another thing
yeah.
I like to keep elevate away from those subjects, but you have to
So
understand where the journey came from and the information that kind of pushed like we both got pushed into this direction together, you know, like and it's something, you know, from knowing these things doesn't mean I need to talk about conspiracies all the time, but it's through knowing all of these things about aluminium and jibber jabbers and everything like that that's led us into this direction of taking responsibility for our health, because we're being bombarded in society. It's not supporting our health at all, you know, the norm.
Yeah, and and so many people, like like me, and I'm sure lots of your clients, Jenna, are real. They're poorly, they're in pain. The doctors haven't got a clue. They give them medication. Or the one they did to me was said, "Oh, it's all in your mind."
Mm. Oh, the psychosomatic thing comes up a lot.
Yeah, and so when there's no help from the medical profession, you then have to search, which is what I did. I searched really long and deep, and from Patrick Holford, I can't remember quite how I ended up at Anne Wigmore. And Anne Wigmore wrote a book called Hippocrates, and I couldn't even pronounce it. I
Yeah.
couldn't even pronounce it when I found the book. And I went to the local bookshop because there was no internet back then. I went to the local bookshop and ordered this book, and I got it, and then tried implementing. I just tried implementing that way, and it was difficult. It was very difficult back then. And I've learned a lot more, and I've learned so much since then. And then that, from lots of trials and error and kind of passing out and not doing very well on it all, I then found myself in New Zealand. Someone gave me a book, and they said, "Oh," so I met these people that did a raw food diet in New Zealand, and I was going for dinner, and they said, "Oh, Phil, we've still got a bit of work to do, and we're working late. Read this book." So they gave me Gabriel Cousins' Conscious Eating book. And I sat and read it and was looking through it, and I opened up the page, and on it, it was talked about the composting button. And I was like, I want to go and meet this guy and train with him.
Yeah.
And a year later, I was at the Rejuvenation Centre in Arizona training, which is why or how I became a live food instructor. So I spent 13 weeks in the desert in an Essene community, 3.5 feet up in the mountains in Arizona, in the desert, in the mountains, in a community which was being run as an ashram. So we were doing our time, and that's where I trained as a live food instructor and an overall food chef. And then I've just built on it and changed it a lot from that way, and met lots of people, and interacted, and you can see what works for some and what doesn't work for others. And this is something I just want to share quickly that I hear all the time is we're all different. Now, we know all of us, our anatomy and physiology is the same. Our digestive tract is the same. Our blood system's the same. Our lymph system's the same. We are two fluids and a bunch of cells, right? That's what we are. And we're all the same. What's different is our pathology. And when I say our pathology, I'm talking about our weaknesses. So our weaknesses is fundamentally we are all the same. Otherwise, they would have a different anatomy and physiology book for everybody, and they don't have that. They teach one level of anatomy and physiology. It doesn't matter what color, sex, creed, it doesn't matter. That's the same. So the thing that I've coined is the pathology is the thing that's different. And that's why we can't all do the same thing. We have to do it differently because our pathology is what governs us and guides us into what we can eat, what we can't eat, and how we have to do it. And slowly, as we change that pathology, and I'm using that word, some people say, "Oh, that's not quite right, Phil," but I know it's not quite right, but I'm using it as that word, as in stuff that's not quite right with us, something that's just, what's different. Well, our microbiome's different, and that's
Yeah.
massive.
Also, if you're somebody from the Caribbean living in the UK, that's going to be different physiology wise, because your body's used to a lot more sunshine penetrating through the skin, so the way that it kind of assimilates vitamin D is going to be very different to someone that's from the northern hemispheres of, you know, Sweden or something. You know, it's like how we handle nutrients in the body dependent on where we're from in the world. And you know, if I suddenly went and moved to the Caribbean, then that would be amazing. Actually, I'd be supercharged from the sunshine, eating all the fruits. Yeah, book me a ticket. But you know, it can feel very different. You know, so there's those little things to take into consideration. But
Yeah, yeah.
generally speaking, we
And it's all about how we assimilate, how we digest, how we assimilate, how we utilize. It's all about which of our glands is down, which of our glands is working, how are they interacting with our organs. That's what makes us different. But the fundamental diet is the same.
yeah, frugivores.
Yeah.
And there's so much evidence coming about that we are frugivores now, and you know the big protein myth, and you know when I really think about it, I haven't ever really been a big protein. Like gorillas aren't thinking how much protein am I getting, do they? Do they ever think? Does that ever cross their mind? Orangutans, oh, have I had enough protein today? But you know, if you believe in evolution, you believe. I think there's an alternative theory myself, but if you do believe in evolution and we do come from monkeys and gorillas and whatever, then it makes sense that we eat the same diet as them. And a frugivore isn't just fruit. They would sometimes have an insect or, you know, but it's not the main part of their diet. So it's like little bits of protein from time to time, but mostly it's just the array of amino acids and different things. But that's a big thing you hear a lot, isn't it? Are you getting enough protein? And you just think, well, I'm still building muscle at the gym. I still work out. I've got lots of stamina. I don't need to look at macros and numbers. It's how do I feel? Well, when I go to the gym, I feel strong. So I believe I'm getting enough of what I need. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm still running on the treadmill and I'm not getting out of breath. So I still feel like I've got good stamina. So to me, like I measure what's going on with my diet by how I feel and how I you know how I am when I'm exercising or doing something or do you know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
remembered like when I first met you lot, and you know you had such energy and stamina, and there was handstands going on and different things. Do you know what I mean? And it was just so physically able to there was someone else that we were with, and I remember him talking to another friend, and I thought, God, they're the same age, and you know, and I could see the difference. It was like, oh, I want to be more like that. You know, and that I you know, and it was it's so obvious, and this whole like, yeah, but are you getting enough of that? It's like, well, can you do what I can do on your diet? You know, oh, you need coffee all day. I don't. Oh, you need just, you know, it's like little things like that. It's the comparisons, and I've noticed with because I go to a fitness club, and there's lots of people there like having the protein shakes and all of that stuff, and then we go in the sauna after, and they're really uncomfortable in the sauna. You know, they're sweating profusely. It's like, and they're you know, they're sat in there, and I'm thinking, what? You know, because it's not happening in my system, because it's very clean. My detox pathways are clean, so I haven't got it all like dying to come out of every orifice, you know. But you do. I'm not saying, you know, I know it sounds like I'm comparing myself as better, because often there's other things, but it's not that. It's just I witness it and I think, wow, you know, there's those protein shakes and stuff they don't make you look well. They just bulk you up. But then we've gained this, you know, it's funny, isn't it? Like throughout history, there's always been a trend. So back when I was a teenager and early 20s, the trend was you had to be really skinny. You had to look like Kate Moss. You know, that was the thing that we all aspired to be. Now it's you know, you have to have that gym sort of sturdy look, you know, but it's only a fashion visual that we aspire to be. But now we think that that's what healthy looks like, you know, bulked up, you know, strong, like muscles, you know, men and women. And although that's a sign of fitness, you know, fitness and health are two, they marry, but they can be two different things. You know, just because you're fit doesn't mean, because a lot of exercise is actually acid, has an acid effect in the body, doesn't it? So
Yeah.
I think, you know, we've got this big misconception about what it is to be, and a lot of raw foodies, you know, like we can be quite underweight sometimes, and people think, oh, you don't look healthy, because their idea of what healthy looks like is often a bit more bulky. But yeah, I really think it's on how you feel, not necessarily how you look. I think that's the I think you can tell health in the face, in the skin. It's in the skin. It's the way the cells glow, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the skin on the outside shows the skin on the inside, right? And
Yeah, it's
that,
your biggest
yeah.
organ. So if your skin looks good, you know your other organs are going to be looking good. Yeah, got that delay.
I just had you still doing this when there was no noise coming.
Yeah, so
Um,
it's just this little smile that you have.
and that's one thing I do a lot of apparently is smile. And I thought I was a miserable old bugger, but apparently I smile a lot, so that's all right.
Yeah, because
Um,
it's glowing.
yeah, I
Glow.
mean, I would. We were talking about the healthy and the fit and the energetic people, and it's like actually they're all drinking coffee. They're all on
Pre-workout.
stimulants of the
Yeah.
sort. You know, they're all on stimulation. But
Mm.
when you take away the stimulation, then you actually know how you are.
Yeah, I love that. That's it. That's exactly it. Yes. Yeah.
Then you know because
Mm.
most people are stimulated to the eyeballs, not just with coffee. Tea's a
Mm.
stimulant, coffee's a stimulant, chocolate, cacao. You know, don't get fooled into the modern health world of cacao being healthy.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Not because
Mm.
it's a stimulant. It's hard on the adrenals. It's acid in its nature. I'm
Mm.
not saying there's no good properties in it. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is
It's
don't
a
get
thing to
stuck
have
down this modern path
sometimes. Yeah.
that cacao, chocolate in any shape or form is a health food because
Mm.
it's not. It's
Mm.
fun and
Yeah.
it can be useful. No doubt about that. But it's expensive on the body.
Mm.
And I use it from time to time, but I know it's got an expense. I'm not going to tout it as a cure all because it's not. But
No.
it can be useful. Sorry.
Hello. I'm in a podcast.
Yes. Oh, that was my sister. Bless her.
Oh, so but you know what we've, you know, we've done health and everything else, but like how to me health is this kind of mind body spirit connection. It's how those three things work in harmony together, and um you know, there's a good flow of energy between your mind, your body, and your spirit. Are we interrupting you, Phil?
Sorry, my sister had a problem with a car earlier and she's just phoned me. So I'm just checking that she's all right
Oh, okay.
and telling her
Yeah.
that I'm on this podcast. That's all. And
All
then
right. Well, I'll continue then. But yeah, I feel
I'm
like for
done.
health for me isn't just it's how your mind, body, and spirit kind of align. And if there's one out of balance, so if you're thinking that you're healthy physically, but you're suffering with any mental health or emotional thing like anxiety, depression, well, then what you're doing physically isn't working because you've still got a mental health problem. Do you know what I mean? Because it's all ties in. Or if you're think you're very spiritual, but you've got health issues or what? Do you know what I mean? I don't know. It's like if any of those are out of balance, then you know that something in that triangle is out of alignment. Now, with the whole raw food movement, everything becomes in alignment. In an alkaline electric diet, because you're not bombarding the body with anything, the body feels it's activated, it's alive, your mind is clear, focused, you kind of, and so your spirit is wide. you know it's just like this. So it's what I'm trying to say is, if you're wanting to be a spiritual person but you still haven't sorted out your diet, well then you're not integrating your journey. Do you agree? Is that a very controversial thing to say?
No, I don't think it's controversial. It probably is controversial, Jenna, but I don't think it's particularly
I
controversial.
probably triggered a
Um,
million people in one sentence, but
it is interesting because I've met some very spiritual people that aren't on a raw food diet,
oh,
and I've
so
also met some
right,
very
yeah,
spiritual people that are on a raw food diet.
yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily fix it all, but
No,
it
because
definitely,
there's still grey areas, but I do see it as a really important aspect of the whole picture. You know,
yeah, yeah.
if if you want to elevate, so if you're happy just being, oh, how do I explain this where it doesn't sound. It's about density. It's about density. So where I come from is about that the frequencies, and the Earth's frequency is changing, and people striving to be in the 5D consciousness, right? So if you want to be in the 5D consciousness, I can't see that you can without the food piece. I don't know how that would happen because there's too much density to weigh you down from accessing that level, that dimension. That's not to say that you won't be having, because everyone's going to be affected anyway. So you will be elevating, but you're going to be held back from your true potential of elevation if without the diet piece, cleaning the system, activating the cells with light codes. You know, it's just a massive. I feel. Do you agree or?
Totally agree. I totally agree with that.
In
On
fact, the podcast that you did with your friend Phil, with Gabriel Cousins, Dr. Gabriel Cousins touched on this, didn't he, about
yeah,
the spirituality of it? And I know that Dr. Robert Morse touches on it as well, because when a lot of people try like raw foods, high energetic foods, or fruit diets, people often say, "Oh, I've just felt too dizzy and lightheaded, and I just couldn't cope with it." And they needed that dense food to sort of bring their energy back down, which I've had from time to time. But it depends what I'm dealing with. Sometimes if I'm dealing with something dense in life, I think, "Oh my God, you know what? I'm going to have to eat a potato and just marry up to this energy because I'm having to deal with something very 3D right now," And sometimes I've done that. But I feel like over the years, where I've been getting more and more used to that sort of higher energy, I can navigate 3D things from that space. But Dr. Robert Morse said it's about the maturity of your spirit, and it will make you feel it can feel unsettling if
yeah,
depending on the maturity of this spirit. And I thought, wow, so all of these kind of live food gurus speak on that quite a lot, don't they?
yeah.
So,
And
so
I,
it's always
I know for me, if I was doing, I did 10 days on grapes last year or the year before.
Well, I did just a couple of weeks, didn't I? Back in
Yeah.
March, I did 10 days on grapes and
And
lemons.
I was still doing building work with builders and everybody
Yeah.
else. It's just like, man, this is so hard because it's just it's just so hard being around and there's no judgment on this, but meat
Mm,
eaters, dope smokers, smokers, tea drinkers, coffee drinkers, it's just when you're in that and you're so like um open. That's
mm,
what I mean.
open.
Open.
Yeah.
I just it I got to the point where it's just like, well, I don't want to be around this anymore. But it's not even that I don't want to. I couldn't. It was just like
Mm,
I've either got to carry on and back off and get back onto some more nuts and some more avocados so I can cope,
so,
then it's like when I do festivals, when I used to run my shop at festivals,
mm.
lots of nuts and avocados and things, which is probably not very good for me at all, but it meant that my system didn't get irritated.
Yeah, I mean, I had it at the market today. Usually I go very early, and I went early, got some bits, went back to my car, then I went back to my car. I got loads of stuff today. It's exciting. And then I was waiting for a friend, so I was just sort of mooching about, and then the town was getting busier and busier. And then I was walking through town. I felt so lightheaded. I thought I'm going to faint, but it was just all the energies of everybody else. Like you said, you're open, and what's beautiful is when everyone's open. That is a beautiful existence. And that is what my vision is. I can see that. I can see, like, wow, if everyone came at the world from this beautiful open place, we'd all navigate each other differently, and everyone would be open, and it would just feel, and I think that that's what we all experienced that summer, that I always remember. I just remember, like, I was having, like, a lot of past life memories were coming through, and I remembered this daughter that actually, when I came into this life, I remembered. I kept thinking, I've left a girl behind. I've left a girl behind. I knew it. Anyway, I picked up this necklace at a festival, and I was looking at it, and it was like a little girl's face. And I was thinking to myself, oh, that kind of reminds me of the girl that I left behind, like, so cosmically. I was thinking, that looks like the girl I left behind. It was reminding me of the fact I had a girl in a past life. And you were stood behind me, and you just went, Jenna, you've got boys, haven't you? And I said, yeah. Like, why? And I went, yeah. And you said, oh, yeah, no, I just thought, I said, that's so weird because I was just thinking about this. And you went, yeah, I felt that, and it was the same summer as well. Like, you just felt into something. Something happened with Pete where I was thinking something and he picked up on it, and it was another past life thing. And then me and you were in the sauna, and I was saying, oh, I just don't feel like I can show up on social media the way that I am. And you said, why? And I said, oh, people are going to judge me. And you said, well, why does that matter? And I said, I don't know. It's like, if I'm on social media, it's people I went to school with, it's my family. Like, what will they all think of me? And you were saying, well, why would that matter? And you kept digging, didn't you? In the end, it just came out of my mouth, but we both heard it at the same time. And I said, I just don't want them to kill me again. And we went, and it was like, there was just all that, the whole summer. I just think I was having stuff with Million. We were all remembering past life stuff together, but it was just flowing in such a beautiful way. It was such a, until it didn't at the end. um and it and that's what I can see. If everyone, and I can see it happening, I can see as people's frequencies are elevating in other ways, this is starting to occur amongst people. But, like,
Yeah.
let's accelerate it. Like, let's
Yeah.
really feel into it. What would happen if you changed what you ate, and cleared the density? Because everyone's been on this healing journey. Oh, I cried this out at an ecstatic dance, or I did this healing, or I did ayahuasca, and I did this, and oh yeah, I'm doing psychedelics to clear and heal this. But what about clearing the density in your diet? Because that's actually a fast track,
That
to
that Jenna, is
clear.
actually that's a really good point.
Yeah, because it's
That's
and this is what it kind of frustrates me a little bit sometimes, because I'm seeing all this external external stuff that people need to heal, to be spiritual, and it's like, just clean what you're eating, and you'll be that. It will just happen. It's simple. So that's the vision for Elevate, and that's why I got you involved.
Thank you, Jenna. And it is simple, right? It is simple. We've got to eat. We've got to eat unadulterated, high vibrational food. So what's that? Fruits the highest, right? Grapes are the highest, and then lemons. And
Fruit's been grown in the sunshine. It's absorbed the sunlight and the sun's energies. You're getting direct light codes, sparking up the energy in your cells. It's like, wow, that's incredible. Like, compared to meat, an animal that was tortured and murdered for your, and it's full of fear and anxiety, and that vibration. I just it's confusing for me how you can think something spiritual, but you're ingesting that, and you're arguing that fruit, this high vibrational sun, is like dense light, dense light, and to there's a lot of people. There was a big shift where people were realizing this, and then all of a sudden there was more knowledge, and like social media kind of went mad, and now it's all carnivore diet and everything. And I put a post up recently about, there's a lot of argument around carnivore or vegan, carnivore, this one's better, that one's, and if you look at the people's videos that are shouting about both, they both look healthy and like they're thriving. They're telling you that they're thriving. They're telling you that they've healed. But, so which one's right? Well, I'm going to choose the one that's energetically sits well. And if I'm thriving, my conscience is clean. But
you know
and
what, Jenna?
that's our conscience is part of our whole vibration anyway. Like, so if my conscience isn't happy, that's going to sit as density in me somewhere, whether I'm aware of it or not.
Do you know what? Coming from you, I think that's really important about the fact that vegan or the carnivore diet. I mean, I have to say, some of those carnivore people look amazing. I have to say
Yeah.
that, but I can't do that. I'm not going to condemn them. That's their journey. That's their choice. They've got the karma. The animals have come in with whatever they've come in. That's their interaction and that's their journey, right? But for me, we're moving into a time of non-violence.
And a higher consciousness, awareness, and
But
people are seeing it and they're choosing to ignore it. I've got friends, they're like, Jenna, I'm trying, like they're on this spiritual journey and they want to and they get it, but it's such an ingrained habit now. It's just hard to give it up, because it's just, it's like anything. They become an addiction, which sounds like a fetish to me. Like, what? So it's an addiction that you want to eat this murder thing, even though you know that it's not. Then it becomes it goes into fetish world to me. Then it's
yeah,
like very difficult to understand, but only because I haven't eaten an animal since I was 12 years old, so it's very alien to me now. But I do totally understand that if you're only becoming aware of your conscience, and your awareness is kind of waking up now, that it's kind of difficult to change any food habits. Alcohol is so ingrained, and I mean, a lot of people are becoming sober now, so that's a start. Sugar, these are all very addictive. Coffees, they're all very addictive, aren't they?
So addictive. And this is the thing, right? With our diet, on a level, it's really simple, right? It's probably the simplest thing to do, which is to
Yeah.
eat a piece of fruit or a nut or a seed or an avocado, banana, whatever. It is like
Huge.
the most
Mm.
simplest thing to do. However,
Yeah.
it's probably at this moment in time the most difficult thing to do.
And that's why I always say that choosing what you eat is the biggest spiritual integration, because that's where all your attachments are. That's where the real work is. It's not until you try to not have it that you go, oh, I want that thing. And you've got a need and an addiction and an attachment, or there's a story around it. It's like, that's where the real spiritual work is. Because if you can't understand yourself at that level, what you do, I think that's why every other religion has fasting, certain rules to diet and things like that, because it is a really important piece to your intention and awareness and everything, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, fasting's a whole other ball game. And yes, it's really all the prophets fasted. All the gurus, all of the Indian yoga gurus, they all fasted. It takes it all to the next level. Fasting and fasting is a crucial part of our evolution. It's a crucial part of our spirituality, and it's crucial to our health. And if you're in control of what goes in your mouth instead of what goes in your mouth being in control of you,
Yeah.
you can control that. You can control nearly anything.
Mm.
And that is the biggest challenge for all of us, is actually choosing what goes in our mouth and not doing it out of habit, reaction, need, addiction, whatever those things are. And actually, it's the simplest thing to do, but it's the hardest thing to
The
do.
hardest, exactly. That's where the work really sits, the integration really sits. And also it's your willpower. And if you haven't got a grip of your own will, what have you what have you got? Because you're just always a slave to unconscious eating or attachments, or you're just a slave to that, isn't it? It's just, if you haven't got a grip of your own willpower.
And then just something else I want to add on to that, Jenna, as well. Now, just to share with people, I've been at a point for a lot of years now where I do not crave cooked food. Someone can sit and put any cooked food product in front of me, and I do not desire it.
Mm.
However, one thing I will share: when we were in India 2 years ago, I went to India to do some yoga teacher training, and I said to Emily, I'm going to, everyone's like, oh God, it's amazing. So I said to him, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to have one Indian meal while I'm here. And I had one authentic Indian meal. And I was so disappointed
Oh,
because it's dead.
yeah. You,
And I
yeah.
can't, I cannot explain it, but all what I understood from that is the flavors in my mouth were
Mm.
like, oh, I get it. I get it. I understand why. But for me, it's like eating some 2D. When I say 2D, I don't mean 2D. I mean like two-dimensional. It's like eating. One of my friends described it as eating flavored cardboard,
Yeah.
and I can't explain it. But that's been so long since I ate a cooked meal, and that had a really profound impact on me, because I was like, so I get it on one level, I get it. But on another level, it's like, these people have, and I think lots of people that do raw food, they're not 100%. They're not doing raw food all of the time.
Mm.
Occasionally, they might have you know, and again, there's no judgment.
No,
It's
because it is difficult, and I've been on and off the sort of, you know, I think when I first discovered raw food, I was solid for a couple of years, and then it would be like, oh, I'm at so and so's house, and they've made this really lovely dish, and being with people eating food is such a lovely thing that
yeah,
I'll join in, but I just won't have that bit and that bit, but I'll have that, that, and that. Do you know what I mean? And so I've also got this other, you know, where we're talking about if you haven't got a grip over your food, but also there's choices, and in certain times, if being with people, so if someone cooking you a meal, and even if it is just like some lentils or something and a spicy or something, you know, I had someone that used to make me that. They used to do like a salad, but with like some cooked lentils and stuff. And it was so delicious. And I felt so honored that they'd made me food. And it was such a gift that the vibration of that kind of trumped me having a little bit of cooked food. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, of
sometimes,
course.
but it doesn't
And
mean
that,
I'm about to like, you know, it's
and
like, so you're really conscious that you're having it, and you're like really grateful, and you just keep the vibration and the intention high when you have that thing, but it's still alkaline. It's still not gonna destroy me because I've had a little bit of lentil. Do you know what I mean? So you don't have to be like 100% raw. You don't have to be a fruitarian, but it's about what I always say to my clients is like, you don't have to be strict with it. Just know that these foods it will light you up, and these foods are dense. So if you're going to have these foods, just be really mindful, and when you have it, make sure you really enjoy it so that you're not feeling guilty and, oh, you know, just,
so important, Jenna, so important.
yeah.
And you know, and I was just getting at the fact that with the cooked food thing, it took me years to realize to like I say, it took me years. I didn't eat cooked food for years, and that's the thing. I didn't, and then when I ate it, it was just like, oh wow, that's taken years for me to notice that real difference
I mean,
between.
I can notice the difference between electric and alive, and I know from the first mouthful of apple pie and custard that I had in Pete's Cafe was like a light bulb moment, because I could feel the life in this pudding. You know, it was like, wow, I can feel that aliveness in this mouthful. And that was what was the light bulb. It was like, oh, I get it. I get it. You know, and that's why I've been on this journey ever since, because it's like I get it. It's alive. The flavors are different. You know, it's electric. I didn't know it was electric at the time. I didn't really understand that, but I knew that it was way more alive than anything else than a normal apple pie that I would have, you know, with pastry and custard and whatever. And then over the years, when I've, you know, like say I'm with the kids and they're having a thing, and I'll go, oh, I always do this thing where I go, can I just have a bite? Because I'm just interested in how it tastes or whatever. And that bite is always so disappointing.
Yeah,
You know, so the bites become less and less because I know I'm not missing out on anything. And today I popped into a cafe just to get a tea, and I was stood in the queue, and I was just looking at all these pastries, and it's like they don't even wink at me because it just doesn't. I'm so detached from that even being a food now, where there would have been a time where I'd be going, oh, you know, having to have an internal fight with myself. Like, oh, but now I just look and I think, God, I don't know how. If I ate one of them now, it'd feel like a brick in my stomach. You know, this massive croissant or something. You know, it's like, yeah.
yeah.
So it
For me,
takes
it was.
time, you know, within time, you know, people think, oh, but I wouldn't be able to live without that, or I wouldn't be able to not have that. But your tastes change. The way your body responds after eating that food changes. And sometimes you'll change your diet, and then you might go back and forth and back and forth. But every time you go back, it's such a great lesson, because you're like, oh, I don't like the way that feels in my body now, because you can feel the difference. You can feel the density. You might start getting pains or bloating and different things like that. And you think, actually, no, it's not doing me any favors, you know, and then you cut that food out. And the next time you see it, you go, no, I'm not going to eat that because that actually hurt last time, you know. So the journey might not be so, you know, linear. It might be that you're back and forth. I mean,
Yeah.
all the
And
time. Yeah.
so what was interesting for me with that meal I had in India, it sat absolutely fine in my body. There was no There was no discomfort. There was no upset. There was nothing. It was absolutely
Mm.
fine. The thing for me was the interaction of the experience of that food in my mouth. And it was just like, wow, I don't get it. I really was looking at it going, why do people eat that?
Mm.
And that's just because of the years that I've been doing it for. That's,
Well, and also, and everything's a condition, isn't it? You know, if you,
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just
It's all about conditioning.
and conditioning that that's what I really like. If you keep telling yourself that that's what I really like, that's what I really like, well, then you know, and you're going to go, oh, I don't want to eat that because I don't really like fruit. My mum used to make me eat fruit, and I don't, you know,
Yeah.
and it's all these little programs that we tell ourselves around the
Yeah.
foods. Yeah.
Yeah. So so I think the raw food thing. There's a guy, I forgot what his name was, Sherman. He wrote a book called The 5 a.m. Club,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
in there he says at the beginning it's really difficult, in the middle it's messy, and at the end it's divine.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
think for any
That's
evolutionary journey,
yeah.
it's whether you're giving up smoking, whether you're giving up alcohol, whether you're giving
Mm,
up wheat and dairy, whether you're giving up meat, and whatever your decision choice, whatever is.
mm.
I was really lucky actually because my body gave up meat, I didn't give it up. So for me, I had no problems with it at all. I was sat eating it one day, and I had my second forkful, spat out on a plate, and I've never ate it since.
I
So for me, it wasn't a journey. It wasn't difficult. My body just rejected it, and that was really quite surprising for me.
I was a very conscious cosmic kid, and I was just that kind of voice that I've learned is my channel was so strong then that I went, what? That's an animal. And I was like, well, that's not right. Like that's, you know, but there was a voice came and going, it's not right. And I was going, oh, it's not right. It's not right. And I didn't know that you could not eat it, but yeah, and then that was that. So, and it took until I was 12 because I knew before, and I used to give my meat away to my brother or the dog under the table, and my and I'd eat my brother's broccoli as an exchange. It was like, Mum's not looking, here, swap. And yeah, but when I was 12, I said to my mum, if I make a New Year's resolution, can anyone break it? Because my mum wouldn't let me be a vegetarian. She was like, no, you need to eat meat. You need, you know, protein. Well, she didn't know. And so, but then that New Year, I said, if I make a New Year's resolution, can anyone break it? She went, no. I went, well, my New Year's resolution is to be vegetarian. And that was that. So, and then I never turned back. I turned vegan at 19. And then, but I never drank milk again, but I did eat. There were times when I did used to have like goat's cheese on things, and chocolate. Chocolate came in and out so many times.
So difficult. Chocolate's so
Yeah,
difficult.
that was a one. Chocolate was really hard. But this is the thing. This is why I don't judge anyone on their journey. And there's no right or wrong way. We're just saying, if you want this, then this is a really good road to get to that. We're not set, you know, if you want to stay where you are and do what you're doing, there's no judgment, and I'm not going to judge how anyone does it either. You know, it's just it's not for anyone to tell anyone what's right or wrong for them at this time. But we, you know, I just know that there's a lot of talk about spirituality and how can we become more open and, all of that. It's like, well, stop eating dense, stop consuming density, not just with toxic relationships and all this other stuff that people talk about. Like, stop consuming density. And the problem is society doesn't support it. So if you're going to stop consuming density, it's a tough job, because if you go out for dinner, there's nothing. If you meet your friends, if you do, you're being bombarded. Your willpower is being bombarded at every corner. So it takes such intention and will, doesn't it, really? And that's why when you meet other people that do, you're like, you're friends for life, aren't we, Phil?
Yeah. So Jenna, just a bit of fun, right? In London, there's this raw food restaurant called Vantra, and Emily and I were in London at a conference near the end of March, and they do Uber deliveries.
What?
Yep.
Lovely, amazing.
So we were sat in this hotel that Emily's family had kindly bought for her birthday, and we phoned up Uber on the way back from the conference,
Yeah.
and they delivered 100% raw food, vegan, gourmet dinner to
That's
our hotel.
cool. So anyone living in London, you've got no excuses.
You
Oh,
can
nice. Yeah.
Vantra, big shout out to Vantra. They're brilliant. They do more cooked than they do raw, but they really need the support because all they want to do is raw. They're Gabriel Cousins devotees. They love it. They love his work.
Oh, fab.
And all they actually want to do is raw vegan food, but they can't make ends meet. So they're doing the best they can to do a vegan, probably about a 70-30 mix, probably cooked to vegan.
Well, most of the vegan restaurants now and cafes all have raw cakes.
Do they?
Yeah, I've noticed that now. It's like, there might be a lot of like cooked food heavy, but they've often got quite a few selections of raw cakes. So sometimes if it's just all cooked food, I just have to have a cake, isn't it?
That's what I would do.
I just have to have a cake for lunch. Yeah.
That's fine by me. I'd have cake for lunch.
That's one of the cool things about being raw vegan is you can have cake for breakfast, cake for lunch, cake before bed. In fact, I don't actually eat a lot of cake these days, but I could if I wanted to.
Do you know what? I never make it. I
Don't-
don't make cake because otherwise I'd look like a cake. And
yeah.
and cake's great. It's great for occasions, but it is, even raw cake, it's still
It's
dense.
quite dense. Yeah.
Even comparing it to fruit, it's very dense.
Yeah.
But it's fun.
Cool. Yeah. I actually made some little sort of ginger, not a brownie because it didn't have chocolate in it, but it was like, pecans and walnuts with dates and loads of ginger and desiccated coconut. And I put that down. I put a little bit of raw chocolate that I had on the top, but just a very thin layer. So it just had that little bite of chocolate, but not like a high. And I've only had a couple. I just looked at them and thought, God, they were there. They've been there all week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just because I haven't really, because I've been since did the grapes and lemons in March. I just want fruit. And it's interesting, you have a cleanse at that level, your body just wants fruit. When you strip it right back, and then, and then I keep forcing myself, like, have one of them. And I'm like, oh, it's a bit dense. It's a bit fatty and dense. But yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So back to the beginning where we started. So that's the challenge, really, isn't it? About Elevate Festival. It's like for both of us, our mission is the raw living food. That's our mission.
Yeah.
The challenge is,
do we want to expose everybody to that all weekend? Because all of the festivals that I've ever run have always been vegan, but they've never been advertised as that, because I don't want to put us in a category that's a vegan festival. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to discriminate against meat eaters and other people from coming, and because it's for all of us. It's not just for vegans, So I won't advertise it's a vegan festival. like I'm doing that now, but on the advertisement, because I don't want to exclude anybody. It's inclusive of everyone. But when you're there, the mission behind the event
Yeah.
is about ascension and raising your frequency. Well, the fact is you can't do that on a meat-based diet. So if you want to come and explore what it is to raise your frequency, it doesn't mean that you have to suddenly turn vegan. But like, if you're going to eat meat, but you need, like, everybody, no matter what your diet is, you need to get more of this vibrational food in to prevent, because it doesn't just raise your frequency, it prevents disease. So
Especially the fruit. Actually, I think the fruit is really crucial for people. So this fruit fear,
I
guys,
don't see
it's
everyone having
just
fruit for breakfast. If you
fruit
do
fear
nothing
is
else, just fruit
nonsense.
for breakfast. You know, don't change any other way that you're eating apart from breakfast. Cut out the bacon and eggs and toast and cereal and croissants. Like, do away with that. Have fruit and then carry on as normal, because I bet you people's lunches and dinners are healthier than their breakfasts.
Yeah, that's probably it's probably true. I've got a mate of mine, Jenna, that I've been doing this deep nature connection work with, and he's really into meat, eggs, cheese, da 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 da. And when I went back a while ago to the course with him, he said, Phil, I've not been doing porridge, I've not been doing bacon and eggs, whatever it was he was doing.
Yeah.
I'm doing a melon. I have half a melon for my breakfast. He said, and that sees me right through until lunch.
Yeah, people are shocked, aren't they? They're like, I can't believe that I'm still going on just a bit of fruit. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
No, and actually, Jenna, my dad's 85, right? He was 85 this month. And he says now, if he has fruit for breakfast, he can go until lunchtime. If he has porridge, 30 minutes later, he's hungry.
Yeah, that I always noticed that. I was always hungry after porridge.
So was I.
Yeah. And I'd
Yeah.
make it really dense and I'd have nuts and I'd do a porridge bowl. Do you know what I mean? It used to have like so many things in it. I'd eat that. It must have stretched my tummy, being like a brick. And as soon as that digested, it's like, oh, I'm hungry again. Or it just gets your metabolism going, maybe. And
I don't know what it does.
I don't know.
Spikes your blood sugar, probably. I don't know what it does, but it's.
Well, interesting. While we speak about sugar, can we just get in the misconception about, because you said that porridge would spike your blood sugar, but a lot of people think that fruit spikes your blood sugars. And there's a lot of people frightened to eat fruit because there's a lot of misconception around. And that there are naturopaths that are like recommending people don't eat fruit when they've got cancer and things like that. Now, the ethos around that is that sugars. My dog's crying. I don't know why. On your bed. I'll take you out in a minute. On your bed. You say, I need to go out. I need to wee. On your bed. So, yeah, people are frightened because they're saying that sugar feeds cancer. But then there's a misconception between sugars and fruits. Now, for me, if I had cancer, I would go all out just fruit. I would go on a fruit only diet because I know that the antioxidants and all that, like, structured water for the hydration, everything else is actually gonna, for me, that changes the body so that the body can dissolve the cancer. And it's been proved time and time and time again. Like, there's lots of case studies. We're in a group, aren't we? And someone posted today actually that their health issues are just completely reversed and in just a few weeks. And I've experienced health issues reverse in just a few weeks. And because when you're giving the body what is designed to eat, well, then disease becomes obsolete. It just disappears because you're giving the body what it needs. But have you got anything to say about the fruit and sugar?
Well, I want to say this really. When we were kids, you're a bit younger than me, Jenna, but it was probably the same for your age as well. When someone was in hospital and they were sick, you took them grapes.
Yeah.
Interesting, right? So I'm talking about in the 1970s. If
Yeah, but
Granny used to pop,
in the 1920s, I forgot her name, wrote The Grape Cure, and
yeah,
she cured herself of cancer using grapes and multiple other people. And she learned it from a guy who was curing people with grapes 100 years before that. So for the last 200 years, at least, people like on the alternative medicine scene, they've been curing people with grapes of cancers and stuff.
but so also, Jenna, to add to that, if you look at the Romans and the Greeks on their chaise longues in the afternoon, what were they depicted as eating? Grapes.
Grapes, yes.
So so for hospitals to say, well, I don't know if it's hospitals, but when I was a kid, the done thing was you took someone grapes to
Yeah.
hospital.
Yeah, or
Now,
just when you were ill, you got grapes. Yeah.
yeah, so somewhere in our subconscious we knew that grapes, but what they've done now is they've brainwashed us. They fed us white sugar and poisoned us, given us all these nasty diseases, and then told us that sugar's bad. But something else that's really interesting: sugar cane is one of the most healing things, and it's one of the most mineral dense of all of the things.
I bought
Sugar,
some last week and I was juicing it. Our market had this proper sugar cane, and I was like cutting the bamboo off it and then putting it through the juicer, and it's magnificent. Yeah, full of
oh,
minerals.
one word of warning to everyone about sugarcane is, I think you got aware of it, Jenna. My £700 juicer, I ground the colt on it and it
Oh
nearly
yeah,
killed it.
it's quite rough. It's got a lot of roughage, hasn't it?
It is. I mean, it's like juicing can. It's like juicing bamboo. I mean,
Yeah.
it's amazing, but it's so beneficial,
Mm,
so beneficial.
yeah.
So there's a there's a there's a problem, right? So complex carbs are really the reason why they linger in your system is because they're hard to digest, they're hard to utilize. The sugar causes a problem. It's the exact opposite. Fruit goes into the cell like that. And what we need is the fruit sugar in the cells, not around the outside and intercellular. We need it in the cells to feed the cells, to fuel the liver, to fuel the brain. So we actually need fast acting sugar so it doesn't linger and go where it's not supposed to be going. We need it driven into those cells. And that's why you need to clean your body out and get on the fruit. But also though, what I would like to add, for some people that are very compromised, fruit
Hmm.
becomes too much.
Yeah.
So one of the things one of my teachers taught me was green juices, and
Mm.
cut the green juice 50% water in the beginning until you can eventually tolerate 100% green juice.
Yeah, because this is the thing. If you're already so compromised, your diet has been poorly for a long time, then some of these you have to tread more carefully. And this is another thing about receiving advice from people online about things, because I go, no, you just got to go straight onto fruit. But like everybody to where they've got to might need a different approach, and it might be you wean into a certain
Yeah,
way. Yeah.
yeah, totally. It's all about I think one of the things of any diet, it doesn't matter what diet, where you're going, where you're coming from, or where you're going to, what your aim is. The transitions, if you want to, if you've, let's just say that for whatever reason you want to turn vegan, that transition diet, in order to make the diet that you want to stick, is actually crucial.
Mm,
Not for everybody. Some people can go, like me, for example. I took a bite of meat, never ever ate it again
mm,
because my body was telling me what to do. It wasn't me deciding, and I
mm,
think that's a different journey. When
mm.
your body decides for you, that's a different journey to when you go, okay, I want to be vegetarian. Okay, I want to be vegan. Okay, I want to be plant-based. Okay, I want to be fruitarian. Whatever it is, you know, the old adage is slow and steady wins the race. And what we want
Yeah.
to do is win the race. We don't want the wheels to keep falling off. We want to win the race. And we have to be steady, consistent, and very kind to ourselves.
Yeah. And also because it is such a spiritual journey, changing what you eat, you have to be kind with yourself to slowly like process leaving things. Like each food might have a healing journey attached to it, you know? So it's analyzing that as well. Yeah. And so slow and steady is probably the best way. I've got
And
friends.
it's also that it is a really spiritual thing, because it changes your relationship with food. It changes your relationship with your relations.
And it changes your relationship with yourself.
It changes.
The biggest self-awareness practice you can adopt. Yeah.
And yeah, it's simple, and yet it's such a big journey. And
Yeah.
anyone who wants to jump in on this one, just be gentle on yourselves. Do it for you. And also, it's if you're doing it, it's so much easier if you're doing it for you than for another reason.
And I'd really like to challenge people to embrace this way of eating for just one weekend at Elevate. Like, see Elevate as like a healing, like a retreat. I'm coming to retreat. I'm going to have juices and fruits, and you're going to all the healing workshops. You can have massage. You can have, all the different practitioners that are there. You can have the body treatments. You're going to healing workshops, and you're also on the food in the sunshine and the ground, and just really just allow that for one weekend and just see how you feel. That's the vision. That's the vision. And it's not like, oh, I can't go to that festival because I don't want to eat vegan food. I don't want, like, just think of it as just one weekend to see how it sits in your body, to
Have a
see.
go. Do
Yeah.
something different. Have a go.
And just
You know,
have
you'll
that
be.
little clean, have it as like a little summer clean, you know?
Yeah. And actually, Jenna, it's more of a retreat than a festival, to be fair.
Well, because yeah, like when you think of festival, you think of just like partying and debauchery, you know. Although a lot of festivals are becoming a lot more conscious, um, but Elevate is definitely more of a big retreat event, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's closer to a retreat event than it is a festival event, actually.
Yeah, and we go pretty deep with each other. It's yeah, it's very special. It's very special. I can feel into that already. And I'm always going to cap the numbers because I think it's really important for it to be intimate. So I wouldn't ever want to take it over 500 people, I don't think. Because I'm not in it for the money. It's not about that. It's not about that at all. But it needs to pay for itself. But it's so beautiful when it's intimate like that, and everyone gets to know it, and we're going deep together, but everyone's also rising together, because I think if people can really experience that together there, then those ripples, like we've just talked about, where our own journeys came from, an experience of the mouth or the whatever. Well, if everyone just has that experience at Elevate, well, what ripples is that going to create for them and what they do thereafter? So,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, Phil, um, where can people find you?
They can find me. My website is www.therawbuilder.co.uk. On Instagram, I'm Phil_Grist. And on Facebook, I'm Phil Grist, and also the Raw Builder on my business page.
And you'll be at Elevate with a juice bar with your beautiful Emily, and
Yeah.
you're always willing to talk to people endlessly, aren't you, about this?
Endlessly. Yeah. We're dawn to bedtime. We are there squeezing juice out of our cold pressed juicers, which is a real
Challenge?
commitment to love, because we could get a fast juice when we could do easy, but that's not our vibe. Our vibe is to run the slow juice bar through slow juicers, so you get the best juice possible.
I've just ordered a new juicer, but I'll tell you that another time. I'm waiting for it to come from China.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was cheaper out there, so we'll see.
We'll
Slow
see.
juicer, whole fruits in. So yeah, I'll see if it's any good and then I'll recommend it. But
Yeah.
it's an experiment to see.
Oh, and I've just, talking of China, I've just invested in a stainless steel blender jug.
Oh,
So because every time you spin your plastic jug, you get microplastics in.
oh, of course.
So I've just got a sample from China for a stainless steel jug, and if it turns out to be good and I love it, I'm going to bring them in. And ooh, I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can road test it and get some in for Elevate or not. I don't know, but if I can, that's going to be my new mission: is to re-educate people about and I'm getting in Vitamix jugs because the Vitamix is the thing that I use, and just educate people about plastic blenders and why we should all
Mm.
to stay. I mean, glass is the ultimate, but I think with a high powered blender you can't do glass.
Yeah.
So I think stainless steel is titanium would be glass is the best, then titanium, then stainless steel. I've still got my reservations about stainless steel because of other problems, but it's a good place to start.
Interesting. Well, you're also doing something else at Elevate, but I might have to save that for another podcast.
Another podcast, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll drop a little thing. It's all about phototherapy. It's all
Yeah.
about light therapy.
Yeah. All right, Phil. Love you lots.
Love you, Jenna. Thank you so much. Thanks everybody for coming in and watching. And be brave, dig deep, come and hang out with us and elevate yourselves.